Would you know what to do if someone that you know is getting arrested right now? We've all been there before. You go out, you have fun, go out for a couple of drinks, and then someone gets into an argument and boom, out of nowhere, the police show up and they decide that they want to arrest someone. Or, it could be a situation where you have a friend or a loved one, they have a warrant. Didn't know they had a warrant, maybe had a couple of tickets that they never paid and didn't know that it could lead to them getting an arrest warrant. So you're now in a situation where you have a friend, a family member, or a loved one who is currently getting arrested. What do you do to make yourself helpful in this particular kind of situation? So let's talk about it. I'm criminal defense attorney Hannah Akintoye. I'm going to tell you a couple of things that you can do if you are currently in the vicinity or nearby someone that you know who's getting arrested. So the first thing that you'll want to know is that when a person is getting arrested, the police are taking their property and they have to put their property in safekeeping. And so if you are there on the scene, the first thing that I would recommend that you do is you ask the officer if you can take some of their most important or most critical property with you so that it doesn't end up getting locked up with them. So what I mean by that is, let's say you guys drove somewhere, you might want to get their car keys, right? Because if you're parked in a major city where you have to pay for parking on the street, that car is getting ticketed and it's getting ticketed and it's getting fines, and it could potentially get towed because no one has moved it if it is parked where it's not supposed to be. Another example is their house keys. If they live with other people and no one else has access to the residence, it would be helpful if you could take their house keys for them so that their friends, family members, whoever they live with will be able to access their shared residence. Sometimes you come with extra clothes and you don't need all those extra clothes sitting in police custody or sitting in your property bag while you are held in a cell. And so maybe you want some of your clothes to go with your friend or family member who may be on scene at the time that you are getting arrested. If you're getting arrested, assuming maybe out in public, if you're getting arrested at home, it's possible that maybe officers will allow you to get rid of other important things that may be on your body or on your person that you don't need to have, so that you can simply just go with the bare bones of what you need to be transported. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is you'll want to find out what police station that this person that's being arrested is going to. So for instance, anytime you get arrested, you have to be processed. And so you got to get your fingerprint, got to get your mugshot done. And there's a lot of paperwork that the police have to fill out when a person is getting arrested. And you're going to be transported. Whoever's being arrested is going to be transported to some type of police station for this type of processing. And you'll want to know what police station this is in case you have the ability to pick them up from that police station. And so that brings me to my third point, which is if the officers are present and they're willing to engage with you, find out how long it's going to take them to get processed. Because for the most part, it's a process. You'll be sitting around, waiting around for your friend to be released. And so you'll want to know how long does it typically take for you to get processed or a person to get processed so that you can show up at the time frame that this friend or this loved one who's getting arrested would or could potentially be released. And so the fourth thing that you'll want to do is find out who decides whether this person who's getting arrested gets released. So for instance, in some states, there is what they call a magistrate judge that decides whether a person gets bail. In other states, the police can actually release you from the police station with a citation to now show up in court and appear to court for whatever it is that you are getting arrested for. And so you're going to need to find out, if possible, sometimes the police will tell you, sometimes they don't have time to explain these things to other friends on scene, but you're going to have to find out who decides whether your friend or loved one gets released or gets bail or gets a citation. When it comes to magistrate judges, there are some places where the magistrate judges work 24/7. They rotate 24/7, deciding bail, release, things like that. In those jurisdictions, you're lucky to have someone 24/7. In other states, when it comes to magistrate judges, some magistrate judges are only available Monday through Friday. And so that means that if you have a friend or loved one who gets arrested on a Saturday, they may have to wait until Monday to see a judge just to decide if they get released or held, while their case is pending or what their bail may be. In other jurisdictions, such as Washington, D.C., where I practice in, the magistrate judges sit from Monday through Saturday deciding your release conditions. So it can vary widely from state to state, but ultimately there is going to be some type of judge or some type of process where it is decided whether you are held for some period of time initially or you're released initially on a citation. And so you'll want to find out what that process is, because if, for instance, the person who gets arrested is transported to a police station and then is later transported to a judge or magistrate's office, you'll want to know where to show up in order to pick up your friend. They're not going to have a car. They're not going to have access to transportation, at least not readily have access to transportation. And so you're going to want to know where to arrange or what time frame to be able to pick them up so that they're not stranded by themselves trying to figure out a ride home. All right, so that's the fourth thing. And then finally, for individuals who are held, they will be transported to a courthouse. Sometimes the magistrate judge that decides whether they're released or held may sit in the same courthouse as the judge that will actually hear the full entirety of the case of the person who's getting arrested. So it can depend, but ultimately you'll need to find out what courthouse their case is being heard in, because it's very possible that while a magistrate judge may decide release conditions or whether they get bail or not, or whether they get held, ultimately it's not usually going to be the same magistrate judge that decides the whole entire outcome of the case. And so ultimately there will be some type of judge that eventually gets permanently assigned to the case, and that's typically where if you're released, you'll have to go back and forth to that judge to decide if you're taking a plea, if you're taking some type of agreement, or if you're going to trial. But it's not common for a magistrate judge, which is the type of judge that really handles very specific things like bail, release conditions. It's not typical for that judge to actually hear the full entirety of the case. And so if, for instance, your friend is held, let's say a magistrate judge held them for the duration of the case, then it's really important for you to know where the actual case is being held, or what courthouse, what courtroom the case is actually being heard, to decide the specifics of the case, which would be a plea, some type of agreement, or diversion, or potentially trial. And so those are some of the most important things that you're going to need to know if you want to be a supportive friend or family member to a loved one who just got arrested. So if you found this information helpful, I would appreciate it if you liked and followed for more. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them below and I'd be happy to answer your questions, or you can reach me on my website, mydclaw.com, and I'm always happy to chat with you further. As always, take care, stay safe.